Are you always happy? Now that might sound like a strange question. The human condition is that we have ups and downs. How can we always be happy? It's a high bar, but it's a bar that is achievable. To always be happy doesn't mean you're always joking around, you're always laughing. It's an inside job. What does it mean that it's an inside job? Your temperament is joyful. You have a sense of strength, inner strength, and gladness of heart every time and every hour. Why? Because you truly live with your faith in God. That God is animating this very moment from his kindness. God is animating this moment from his kindness, makes that a Kodak moment. And if it's a Kodak moment, of course I'm going to be happy. Of course I'm going to have inner strength, gladness of heart. Kodak may have gone bankrupt, but the moment hasn't. It's full of joy, full of happiness, strength, because God is animating this moment. And it's coming from him in living color, full of life, full of goodness. But the individual who grieves and laments in the moment is demonstrating that they're going through some hardship and suffering, that they lack some goodness. Heaven forfend. This is like a heretic, someone who is denying God in this very moment. If God is omnipresent, that means he's present in this moment. That means this moment is but good. That's why the sages of the Kabbalistic tradition, they rejected the trait of sadness completely, because this contradicts the Jewish true faith, that there's no place devoid of God. And therefore, the truly faithful are not perturbed by suffering whatsoever. And with regard to the mundane matters, mundane meaning our health, our wealth, yes and no are the same in true equality. What if you have or you don't have? It's the same, and therefore you're happy. But to the person who it's not the same, they demonstrate that they are from the Erev Rav, which is the mixed multitude that came up with the Jewish people from Egypt. And what does that mean? That they're acting for themselves. In other words, that a person loves themselves to the extent that they remove themselves from under the authority of God and live life like the nations of the world out of self-love. This is why the person that desires life of the flesh and even family life, children and sustenance, for the sole purpose because it's good for them, that's what they like. Indeed, says the Alter Rebbe in this 11th letter, that it's better that that person should not have been created at all. Very strong words. For the main purpose of a person's creation is to test them in these physical tribulations, to ascertain where's our heart. Is our heart just focused on ourselves? That I'm not happy now because I'm not feeling well. I'm not happy now because I don't have the things that I want. Or is my heart turned towards God? Or, as we just said, to what we call other gods. Other gods means that it's coming from a place of Sitra Acher, the other side, the negative side, from Klipa, which produces a desire of the body's desire for comfort, for self-fulfillment, and self-pleasure. Or, of course, what the real desire should be is to live the true life which evolves from the living God. The person has to really live with this notion that our needs and everything related to our lives in every detail do not come from a negative force, but they come from God Himself. Now, it's not about just saying it. Yes, when you say Baruch Hashem, things could be whatever. You thank God. So it's not about saying it just in words, but God knows where our heart is. Are we in our heart absolutely certain that this is only but good? Whatever is coming my way is absolutely good, except the fact is that I don't apprehend, I don't understand how it's good, but I absolutely believe that it's good. Further says the Alter Rebbe in conclusion, very powerful idea, one who believes that it's truly everything is but God's goodness, even though I may not understand it at this moment, but truly believe and have the faith that what I am manifestly seeing seems to be negative, seems to be downright evil, right? That's happening to me. This is only in regards to ourselves. The fact is, though, it's entirely coming from the supreme goodness of God, from God's divine Chachma, which is beyond comprehension, that transcends the world, transcends. By this faith, that imagined negativity is truly absorbed and sublimated to in the concealed supreme goodness of God in such a manner that it will become palpably revealed to the naked eye that in fact it is real goodness. And that's how he concludes the letter. Again, to reiterate, when you truly believe that what you are going through, that to the eye seems to be negative, but you really believe it's emanating from God's goodness that is beyond my comprehension, but you really know that it's goodness, by the fact that you trust in that, it will then become revealed goodness to the naked eye, to the physical eye. This is a very high level that the Alter Rebbe sets. The bar is very high, but the first thing we need to know is this is Chabad. Chachma bin Vidas, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. We have to understand, comprehend the concept, that it has to sit in our minds, the truth of it, then ponder it, that it enters our heart and changes us. Now, that at this moment, that when we come to the trials and tribulations, the painful experiences, that we don't suffer because we've absorbed this message, make it a part of us. Now, does that mean you don't suffer at all? No, it's not a black and white, even though the concept and the teachings is black and white. But our observance and commitment to this won't be black and white. So if we absorb the message, live with it, and then when we experience some challenge, some negativity, instead of being completely broken, okay, we might not be completely happy, but we're not broken. And we will get back to our joyful state of being and the inner strength much more quickly. We'll bounce back faster. Why? Because we've absorbed the message. We've made it real for us in our minds and our understanding that leads to our heart and changes us from within. That when something from without happens, I deal with it differently. So I encourage everybody, take the message. Take this message, contemplate it, meditate upon it. The truth of it. Truth is difficult to live with. Much easier to live with a lie. Because the lie is a self-absorbed perception of myself and a self-absorbed desire that everything is just what I want. But that's a lie. The truth that it's coming from God and God is only but good. I don't apprehend it. I don't comprehend it. I don't get it. But I believe that it is all good. That's truth. Not easy to live with. But when we accept it and we work on ourselves, we will see that those dark moments, we will have strength and we will have gladness of heart and joy and happiness much more quickly, if not through the whole thing. All right, folks, we got Marcy. Give me a moment, Marcy. Well, just let me see if there's any questions before I lose anybody on the feed. Elise, I personally am having a hard time looking at sickness, disease, cancer, etc., and death in a happy way. They terrify me. How do you do that? That is what I need to master. Well, I think if we take what we just learned and ponder it, meditate upon it, the truth of it, and let it sink into us. That's the key. If you don't want its message to penetrate, it won't penetrate. If your feelings are so real to you and that's what you live with, then you will not allow this truth to penetrate. Then we live in our feelings, which are very self-directed and not healthy as a result. So yeah, it's difficult, and I know it's a challenge. Today we have TRC, so we can talk more about this in TRC at 4:30. Join us for Tanya Rabbi Community. Okay. Tzivi, isn't there a time and a place to be sad? Like when God forbid a person passes away? Excellent question. So you're sitting Shiva. So there is a mourning is not sadness. It's a difference between what it means to mourn and to be sad. When you mourn someone, you mourn the loss of that individual. You're mourning the loss of that individual. It pains, it hurts, but hurt doesn't have to be sad. You're feeling a piece of you is missing. So that's painful. You mourn that, but that doesn't mean you are sad. Difference between that. Now, if that's Ivya, your question is really a good question, because I'm going to take it further, not about mourning. But we learned in chapters 26, 27, the first part of Tanya, we mentioned the word sadness. And the Alter Rebbe says that, yeah, there's a time to be sad over your misguided ways, of your lack that you need to own and take responsibility for. So, and in a moment of, making a cheshbon hanefesh, a counting of my being. So the Alter Rebbe actually says there's a moment of sadness, but it's actually a brief moment, because sadness has no value. It weighs you down. Sadness, if it brings you to, in the moment, to own, but you can't stay there, because you will not own it in sadness, anything of your spiritual lack. From there it brings you to bitterness. Bitterness, that's bitter over my spiritual state. Fine, because then that will change my direction. But sadness doesn't change a direction. Sadness is just, oh, again I did that foolish thing. Feeling sad. For the brief moment is okay. To stay there, no, because then you're just going to feel guilty, and then you're just going to go seek some comfort food or something to make you feel happy, because a person cannot be in a state of sadness about themselves. They need to find a way out of that. Right? So from that sadness, it goes directly into the bitterness of looking inside of me and say, "Hey, better stop that. Change your direction." Yes, but that's not sadness. So it comes out, and even that doesn't mean that there isn't a joy and a happiness. It's a joy and a happiness if you could be bitter at yourself. You're not feeling the joy in that moment because you're feeling how I need the change to make. But yeah, so sadness is really doesn't have much of a place. It can maybe bring something positive, but it can also bring something negative. Whereas joy, that this moment, God, I'm full of joy and happiness because God is creating this moment and giving me giving me this moment? He's giving me this moment not in the way I envision it or the way I want it. All right. That's why you're not God. But the fact that he's giving it, that means it's all but good. So in response to life, there's just joy. In response to me and my situation, sometimes I might have a little sadness because of where I'm holding spiritually. So I'm a little down, but that should be very brief in order to bring me to the ownership of my spiritual lacking, that I can kind of be grind my teeth and be sort of like bitter only towards my spiritual state of being, so I could turn around from that negative place where I might be to change direction. To tshuva, which then tshuva will be with joy. I hope you followed that, because that's amazing and beautiful. Marcy, give me just one moment. I'm going to hear from Marcy. Share with us before I lose this.
I actually think you may have just answered my question, because I was going to ask, how do you tell the difference between when, something is coming from Hashem and is totally good, or when something is coming from the actions of people, which are not always totally good? And you kind of answered that, right? Sit in the moment, but don't let it hold you down. Recognize that this too can be transformed for the good, and work towards that.
Right. So yeah, let's put it. Yeah, exactly, Marcy. Thank you. Let's add to that. Everything comes from God means the people that we meet. Why did we meet them at this time, at this moment, at this corner of this street, is also divinely orchestrated and not by chance. So if it's divinely orchestrated, I met this person at the corner, this person who said something nasty to me, I'm provoked or whatever, and just, is that from God? Absolutely, because even though that person made a choice and that person is responsible for their choice, but the fact that I heard, or I got, I got the brunt of their aggression in whatever manner that was, is orchestrated from above. The power that they could do it, the fact that there was that moment in time, the meeting, God animates that moment. It's a Kodak moment, even though it was an act of aggression, whatever form it took. And therefore, if you believe that this moment is being created, this very moment, God is not devoid from here. He is animating this reality. So then it's only good. And when we have that commitment, and that's so like, wow. And when you really believe that, and it's like in every fiber of your being, you know what's going to happen? It'll evolve, and you'll see from that negativity, something positive will emerge. Something positive will emerge. That's very powerful thing. Is Carmen is asking, is it okay to get help? Of course. I mean, I don't know what you mean by help, but absolutely, we all need help. We can't do it. We can't do it alone. We all need a friend and a mentor. Absolutely. Would that Kodak moment be a test? If you see every moment is a Kodak moment, whoa! Have you ever, one with flying colors, the test? Is it allowed to argue with Hashem when something bad happens to us or we are supposed to just accept it since it's coming from Him. If it's something bad happening to another person, then we have an obligation to seek justice. There's no mitzvah to seek justice for yourself. That's called self-love. So to accept, yes. Accept doesn't mean I just sit back and, accept means I know it's coming from God. Now the question is only, what do I do? I've told the story before, but it's worthy of being told. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, a former chief rabbi of Israel, his son actually is chief rabbi today. He is the head of, chairman of Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem. And after the Yom Kippur War, he was by a private audience with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him, "Was sagt man auf den Gas?" What is the attitude, or what is the feeling of the population, of the people, of the folks on the street? What's the sentiment? Yom Kippur War was too close for comfort, right? It was a great miracle that we won, surprise attack, and on Yom Kippur, and so on and so forth. There was something. So the Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau responded to the Rebbe, "Effect was wird sein." We're questioning what's going to be. This was too close of a call. Israel can't afford to lose one war. One war means it's the end. So they're like, what's going to be? The Rebbe got very serious. And the Rebbe said, a Jew doesn't ask what's going to be. A Yid fragt nicht, was wird sein. A Yid fragt, was soll man tun. A Jew asks, what should we do? Not what's going to be. What's going to be? It's going to be good. Now the question is, what do I got to do to make it good? That's all. That's the question. What's my part to, it's going to be good. There's no question. It's from God. It's all good. Now the question is, what's my part in this to make it good? That's the question. That's a very different way to live. Vilma.
I love these lessons because, Rabbi, it reminds me that this perspective is powerful. How we process things is very human. But this thing about how we interpret and how we make it good, focusing on the things that we can do and surrendering to the will of God is a process. But the more I learn and the more, you talk, the better I see that with clarity, like that perspective.
Right.
But I can also see that there's, times when the way people process things, myself included, we can get stuck in the sentiment instead of, moving on to the making it good.
Exactly. So that's why we are always learning every day, because if we stop learning, Tanya, every day, we will be in we will regress to the human condition and our natural instinct. That's what we will regress to, right? So constant learning, because we need to constantly engage our divine nature to bring out these ultimate truths, and little by little we progress and we move forward. Amazing. You're all amazing. What can I say? All amazing. God bless you all. Reminder, TRC today at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Do join us. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. Thank you all.